The first time the house spoke my name, I pretended not to hear it. That was my first mistake. My second was inheriting it at all. 3 days after my grandmother's funeral, I stood in front of 1847 Holloway Street, holding a brass key that felt too heavy in my palm. The Victorian mansion loomed against the October sky like a broken tooth, all sharp angles and rotting elegance. Paint peeled from the walls in long, deliberate strips, as if the house itself was shedding skin. The lawyer had been very specific in his instructions. Enter before sunset on the third day, not a moment later. Your grandmother was particular about timing. I checked my phone. 5:47 p.m. 13 minutes of daylight left. The key slid into the lock with a sound like a whisper, or maybe an exhale. The door opened before I could turn it. Inside, the air tasted like old photographs and copper pennies. Dust motes swirled in the dying light, and for just a moment I could swear they formed words. Welcome home, Emma. I hadn't told anyone my name was Emma. Chapter 1. The Inheritance. My grandmother and I hadn't spoken in 15 years, not since the summer I turned 12, when she looked at me across her dinner table and said, "You have your mother's eyes. That's unfortunate." She died alone in this house. The coroner said natural causes, but the report mentioned something else, something the lawyer dismissed as irrelevant detail. Her eyes had been open when they found her, wide open, staring at the ceiling of her bedroom, or maybe staring at something beyond it. I pulled my suitcase through the foyer, my footsteps echoing in ways that didn't quite match my movements. One step, two echoes, like the house was learning how I walked. The interior was exactly as I remembered from childhood visits I'd tried to forget. Dark wood panelling that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. A grand staircase that curved upward into shadows too thick for 6 p.m. Portraits of people I didn't recognize, their eyes following me with that particular malice that only oil paintings can achieve. And doors. So many doors. All of them closed except one. The red door. It stood at the end of the first floor hallway, painted a shade of crimson so deep it looked wet. My grandmother's voice echoed across 15 years. Never open the red door, Emma, no matter what you hear behind it. I'd asked her why. She'd never answered. Now, standing in her house with her death certificate in my bag and her key in my pocket, I felt that old childhood curiosity rising like bile. What was behind the red door? Why had she been so afraid? A sound stopped me mid-step. It was coming from upstairs. Soft, rhythmic, like someone was having a conversation in a language made entirely of breath. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Is someone there?" The whispering stopped. The silence that replaced it was somehow worse. I climbed the stairs slowly, my hand gripping the banister so hard my knuckles went white. The second floor sprawled out before me, a hallway lined with more closed doors, family photographs from decades I wasn't alive to witness, and a grandfather clock that had stopped at 3:17 a.m. The same time my grandmother died, according to the coroner. Tick. I jumped. The clock had started again, but not from 3:17, from 12. As if time itself was resetting in this house. The master bedroom door stood ajar. Inside, everything was pristine. Too pristine. The bed was made with hospital corners. No dust. No signs that an 84-year-old woman had lived and died here just days ago. But on the nightstand, a journal lay open. Her handwriting covered the page in increasingly frantic loops. It knows I'm dying. The house knows. It's been whispering my name for 3 days straight. I can't make it stop. Emma must not keep this place. She must sell it immediately. She must never. The entry ended mid-sentence. Below it, in different ink, newer handwriting. Too late. My handwriting. But I hadn't written anything. Chapter 2. The First Night. I should have left. Every survival instinct I possessed screamed at me to grab my keys, sprint to my car, and never look back. But something kept me rooted to that bedroom floor, staring at words I hadn't written, in handwriting I recognized as my own. Maybe it was the clause in the inheritance, the one the lawyer had mentioned almost as an afterthought. If you leave before spending 7 nights in the house, the entire estate reverts to the Historical Preservation Society, and you receive nothing. 7 nights for $3 million and prime Seattle real estate. I could survive 7 nights anywhere. Couldn't I? By 9 p.m., I'd barricaded myself in the guest bedroom, the smallest room, with only one window and a lock that actually worked. I'd checked every lock in the house. Most were broken. Some looked like they'd been forced open from the inside. I tried to distract myself with my phone, but there was no signal, no Wi-Fi. The router downstairs had been unplugged, and when I plugged it back in, it made a sound like screaming before sparking out completely. So I sat in the growing darkness, listening. The house was never quiet. It creaked and groaned like a ship at sea. Pipes shuddered behind walls. Somewhere distant, a door kept opening and closing with metronomic precision. And underneath it all, barely audible, that whispering. At 11:47 p.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, moving from the staircase toward my door. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped right outside my room. A shadow appeared in the gap beneath the door. 2 feet, standing there, waiting. "Who's there?" I managed to whisper. No answer, just breathing, soft and wet and wrong. Then the doorknob began to turn. I'd locked it. I knew I'd locked it, but the knob turned anyway, slowly, as if whatever was on the other side wanted me to hear every click of the mechanism. I grabbed the only weapon I could find, a table lamp, and backed against the wall. The door opened. Nobody was there, just the empty hallway, dark and still. But on the hardwood floor, leading from the staircase to my door and then back again, were footprints. Wet, red, like someone had walked through paint or blood. I slammed the door shut and shoved a chair under the handle. Then I turned off the lamp and sat in the darkness, shaking, waiting for dawn. At exactly 3:17 a.m., every door in the house slammed shut simultaneously, and the whispering became a voice. Emma. Clear as day, clear as death. We've been waiting for you. Chapter 3. The History. I survived until morning through sheer terror-induced paralysis. When grey light finally crept through the window, the footprints were gone. The hallway looked normal, almost quaint in the daylight. I could almost convince myself I'd dreamed it all. Almost. But the journal entry in my handwriting was still there, and when I checked my hands, there was a pen in my pocket I didn't remember bringing upstairs. I needed answers. The town library was a 15-minute drive down the mountain, a small brick building that smelled like old carpet and older secrets. The librarian, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and sharper intuition, looked up when I mentioned Holloway Street. You're Margaret's granddaughter, she said, not a question. You knew her? Everyone knew her, and everyone knew to stay away from that house. She paused. You're staying there, aren't you? I nodded. She disappeared into the archives and returned with a box of newspaper clippings, property records, and what looked like police reports. 1847 Holloway Street was built in 1903 by a man named Cornelius Holloway. Renowned architect, brilliant mind, completely insane by the end. She spread the documents across the table. He designed the house according to very specific principles. Sacred geometry, he called it. Others called it something else. What? A cage. The oldest newspaper clipping showed a photograph of Cornelius Holloway, gaunt face, wild eyes, standing in front of the completed mansion. The caption read, "Architect claims house can hold memories like water holds light." He believed houses could be alive, the librarian continued. Not metaphorically, literally. He thought if you built them correctly, they could think, feel, remember. And 1847 Holloway was his masterpiece. That's impossible. Is it? Her eyes met mine. How many people have owned that house, Emma? I didn't know. 17 families in 121 years. Average ownership, 7 years. But none of them ever sold it willingly. They either died there or fled in the middle of the night, forfeiting everything. She pulled out a police report from 1957. The Hendersons reported hearing voices, claimed the house was watching them. Another report, 1978. The Chens, their daughter disappeared inside the house for 3 days. They found her behind the red door, unconscious, saying the same thing over and over. It showed me everyone. The red door, I whispered. The librarian's expression darkened. Every family mentions it. And every family that opened it, well, they're not around to talk about what they found. What about my grandmother? Margaret was different. She didn't just live there. She understood it. She made arrangements with the house, kept it satisfied. But even she couldn't do it forever. The librarian leaned forward. She called me 2 weeks before she died. Said she needed to warn you. Said you couldn't keep the house, couldn't stay for 7 nights, no matter what the inheritance clause said. Why 7 nights? Because that's how long it takes. How long what takes? For the house to learn you. Once it knows you, really knows you, it never lets go. Chapter 4. The Patterns. I returned to Holloway Street armed with new knowledge and old fear. The house looked different in the afternoon light, less menacing, almost beautiful, with its intricate woodwork and stained glass windows that threw coloured shadows across the floors. But I'd learned to distrust beauty. I spent the afternoon mapping the house, documenting every room, every door, every architectural peculiarity. And there were many. Hallways that seemed to change length depending on which direction you walked. Windows that showed different views of the same garden. And everywhere, carved into woodwork, hidden in wallpaper patterns, etched into glass. Symbols I didn't recognize. Sacred geometry, Cornelius had called it. A cage. The red door remained closed, but I could feel it, like a presence at the edge of my vision, calling to me without words. What are you hiding? Night fell too quickly. By 7 p.m, darkness had swallowed the house completely. I made dinner in the kitchen, canned soup heated on a gas stove that clicked and hissed like it was laughing. The dining room was too large, too empty, so I ate standing up. That's when I noticed them. Photographs on the refrigerator, held by magnets. My photographs. Pictures from my childhood I'd never seen before. Me at 6, playing in the garden outside. Me at 10, standing in the foyer. Me at 12, the last summer I'd visited, staring directly at the camera with an expression I didn't remember making. An expression of pure terror. But the worst photograph was at the bottom. Me, yesterday, sleeping in the guest bedroom. Someone had taken my picture while I slept. Or something. I backed away from the refrigerator, my heart hammering, and that's when I saw it. My reflection in the kitchen window. Except it wasn't moving with me. It was smiling. I ran. Through the dining room, into the foyer, heading for the front door. But the hallway stretched impossibly long. Doors flew open as I passed, revealing rooms I'd never seen. A nursery with a rocking cradle that moved on its own. A bathroom where the mirror showed someone else's reflection. A study where books flew from shelves like startled birds. The house was waking up, and it was showing me what it could do. I reached the front door and grabbed the handle, but it wouldn't turn. The key was in my pocket, but the lock refused to open. I could see my car outside, just 15 feet away, impossibly distant. "Let me out!" I screamed. The house answered. Every light in the mansion blazed to life simultaneously, and then exploded. Glass rained down like deadly snow. In the sudden darkness, I heard it clearly. Laughter. Not human laughter. Something older. Something that had learned how to laugh by listening to humans scream. And then, cutting through everything. Day 2, Emma. Only 5 more to go. Chapter 5. The Memories. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Instead, I sat in the dark foyer, back against the locked front door, waiting for dawn. The house settled around me like a living thing finding a comfortable position. Every creak and groan felt deliberate, purposeful. At 2 a.m., the grandfather clock chimed. At 2:30, I heard children laughing upstairs. At 3:17, always 3:17, the temperature dropped so fast I could see my breath. And the whispering started again. But this time, I listened. It wasn't random sounds. It was voices. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. All talking at once, layered over each other like a radio stuck between stations. "Can't find the way out. Been here for 30 years. Don't let it learn your name. She's listening now. Too late for her, too." I pressed my hands over my ears, but the voices weren't coming from outside. They were coming from inside my head. The house wasn't just speaking to me, it was speaking through me. When dawn finally came, I was different. I could feel it. Something had shifted during the night. The house felt less foreign, more familiar. Like putting on an old coat and finding it fit better than you remembered. I understood what the librarian meant. The house was learning me, and I was learning it. I could sense the age of the place now. 121 years of memories soaked into every board and nail. I could feel the 17 families that had lived here, their joy and terror crystallized in the walls like amber-trapped insects. The Harrisons, 1903 to 1911, Cornelius's family. His wife died in childbirth in the master bedroom. The Palmers, 1912 to 1919. All 3 children died of influenza. You could still hear them playing if you listened carefully. The Vaughans, 1920 to 1927. Murder-suicide. The bloodstain in the library never fully came out. On and on. Death and madness, each family adding their pain to the foundation. And my grandmother, Margaret Holloway, last of the original bloodline, had spent 60 years trying to contain it. I found her real journal in the library, hidden inside a hollowed-out book. The entries spanned decades. 1964. The house is hungry. I feed it memories, old photographs, personal items from people who've passed. It seems satisfied for now. 1978. It's getting stronger. The red door is sealed, but I can hear them behind it. All of them. Everyone the house has ever consumed. 1995. Emma visited today. The house noticed her. I can't let her come back. It wants her. It's always wanted her. 2024. I'm dying. The house knows. It's been waiting for this. Once I'm gone, it will call her here. And she'll come. They always come. She has to open the red door. It's the only way to end this. My hands shook. The only way to end what? I turned the page. The final entry, written in shaking handwriting. Behind the red door is the heart of the house. Every memory it's ever consumed, every soul it's ever trapped. Cornelius built it as a door between worlds, between life and death, between remembering and being remembered. It's a room that exists in all times simultaneously. If Emma opens it, she'll see everything, everyone, and she'll understand. The house doesn't want to hurt her. It wants to keep her forever. Chapter 6. The Choice. Day 3, Day 4, Day 5. They blurred together. The house stopped hiding what it was, stopped pretending to be just wood and nails. I saw things. Shadows that moved independently, reflections that showed the past instead of the present, rooms that rearranged themselves when I wasn't looking. And the voices never stopped. By day 5, I could identify individuals. The young mother who'd died in 1931, still calling for her children. The businessman from the 60s, forever trying to negotiate his way out. The artist from the 80s, painting invisible pictures on walls that didn't exist anymore. They weren't ghosts. They were memories. Living memories, trapped in a house that couldn't forget. And I was becoming one of them. I could feel it happening, my own memories leaking out, childhood moments playing out in empty rooms, my voice echoing conversations I'd had years ago, my reflection appearing in mirrors when I wasn't standing there. The house was recording me, preserving me, learning every detail of my existence so it could keep me forever. On the morning of day 6, I made my decision. I was going to open the red door. Not because I wanted to, but because I understood now. This was always the choice. Stay and be consumed slowly over 7 nights until nothing of me remained except memories in the walls, or confront the heart of the house and end it. I spent the day preparing. I read every journal entry, studied every symbol, traced every line of Cornelius Holloway's sacred geometry. I began to understand his madness. He hadn't wanted to build a cage to trap memories. He'd wanted to build a bridge, a way to preserve everyone he'd ever loved. His wife, dead in childbirth. His infant son, who'd lived only 3 days. He'd poured his grief into the architecture, created a space where death didn't have to be final. But grief is a dangerous architect. The house had become something he never intended. Not a bridge, but a prison. Not preservation, but possession. and now it had been feeding for 121 years. At 11 p.m. on day 6, I stood before the red door. It was warm to the touch, vibrating slightly, like it had a heartbeat. The whispers had stopped. The entire house was silent, waiting. My hand touched the doorknob. Every light in the house flickered. I turned the knob. The door opened. Chapter 7. Behind the Red Door. Inside was impossible. The room stretched infinitely in all directions, but was also somehow contained within the normal space of a house. The walls were covered floor to ceiling with photographs, paintings, objects, memories made physical. And people. Not ghosts, not exactly. More like echoes. Impressions of everyone who'd ever lived in 1847 Holloway Street, all existing simultaneously in this one space. I saw the Harrisons having dinner in 1903, the Palmer children playing jacks in 1918, the Vaughan murder playing out in silent slow motion in 1927. All of them here, all of them forever. In the centre of the room stood a man, Cornelius Holloway, or what was left of him. "Emma," he said, with a voice like wind through broken windows. "You came." "You're dead," I whispered. "Death is just another memory here, and I built this house to remember everything." He gestured at the impossible room. "They're all here. Everyone I loved. Everyone who ever lived within these walls. Safe. Preserved. Never forgotten. They're trapped. They're eternal." His eyes, hollow and hungry, fixed on me. "And so will you be. You have your grandmother's gift, the ability to see what the house truly is. She helped me feed it for 60 years, kept the memories fresh, kept the house satisfied. She wanted me to end this. She wanted you to take her place." He moved closer, and I could see through him to the wall of memories behind. "The house chose you long ago, Emma. It's been waiting for you since you were 12. It knew you'd come back. I can leave. I can walk away right now." "Can you?" I turned toward the door I'd entered through. It was gone. Only walls of memories in every direction. "The house knows you now," Cornelius whispered. "Every fear, every hope, every secret you've tried to forget. You're already part of it, already being preserved." I could feel it. My memories leaking out faster now. Childhood birthdays playing out on the walls. My first heartbreak. My mother's funeral. Every moment of my life being copied, recorded, trapped. "There's another way," Cornelius said. "Stop fighting. Accept it. Become the caretaker like Margaret. Feed the house. Keep it satisfied. And in return, you'll never truly die. You'll live here forever, with everyone you've ever loved." "Everyone I've loved is already dead." "Not here, they're not." He gestured, and the room shifted. My mother appeared. Not a memory, not an echo. Her. Exactly as I remembered from before the cancer. "Emma?" she said, reaching toward me. "Baby, is that you?" My heart shattered. "Mum?" "I've been waiting for you." She smiled, and it was her smile, the one I'd thought I'd never see again. "We can be together now, forever. The house promises." I took a step toward her, then stopped. "You're not real." "I'm as real as a memory can be," she said softly. "And isn't that enough? Isn't being together better than being apart?" Tears burned down my face. This was the trap. Not fear, not horror. Love. The house had learned that keeping people wasn't about terror. It was about offering them what they couldn't let go of. Dead loved ones, lost moments. The past, preserved perfectly, forever. All you had to do was stay, and feed it, and become another memory yourself. Chapter 8. The Burning. I looked at my mother, not my mother, and understood what I had to do. I love you, I whispered, but I have to let you go. Her face crumbled. Emma, please. I turned to Cornelius. How do I destroy it? The house, all of it? His expression darkened. You can't. It's existed too long, grown too strong. Every structure has a weakness. You built it. You know what it is. For a long moment he was silent. Then, the foundation, the cornerstone. It's inscribed with the original binding symbols. If you destroy it, the entire structure unravels. Every memory released, every soul freed. Including you. Including all of us. He looked almost sad. 121 years of existence, gone. Every person I've saved from being forgotten, lost to time. They're not saved, I said. They're imprisoned. I ran, through the impossible room, through walls of memories that tried to grab me, my mother's voice calling behind me. Emma, don't leave me again. I crashed through a doorway and found myself in the basement, the real basement, deep beneath the house. The air was thick and cold and old. Stone walls wept moisture. And there, in the centre of the room, was the cornerstone. A massive block of granite, covered in Cornelius's symbols, glowing faintly in the darkness. I could hear the house screaming. The walls shook, the ceiling cracked. Upstairs, every door slammed open and shut in rapid succession. The voices of 121 years of trapped souls rose in a deafening chorus. I grabbed a sledgehammer from a tool bench, rusted, ancient but solid, and swung. The first impact sent shockwaves through the foundation. The house lurched. The second impact cracked the stone. The symbols flickered. Stop! Cornelius's voice boomed from everywhere at once. You'll kill them all. Every memory, every person. They'll be erased completely. I swung again. Better erased than enslaved. The cornerstone shattered. Epilogue. Ashes. The house came apart like a paper lantern in the rain. I ran through collapsing hallways as walls disintegrated around me. Behind me, I could hear them, all the trapped souls, all the preserved memories, screaming in what might have been agony or might have been relief. The front door appeared, impossibly close, and I crashed through it into the October night. Behind me, 1847 Holloway Street folded in on itself. Not burning, not exploding, just unmaking. 121 years of existence reversing in seconds. The Victorian mansion becoming a construction site, becoming an empty lot, becoming virgin forest, becoming nothing at all. By the time the sun rose, there was only bare land. No foundation, no cornerstone, no evidence a house had ever stood there. And in my mind, silence, for the first time in 6 days. I sold the land for $3 million. The Historical Preservation Society was furious, but there was nothing to preserve. Sometimes, late at night, I think I hear whispers. Sometimes I see my mother in reflections. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice, destroying 121 years of memories, erasing all those people from existence one final time. But then I remember the look in Cornelius's eyes, the hunger, the need, the terrible love that builds prisons and calls them homes. And I know I chose right. Some memories should be allowed to fade. Some houses should be allowed to fall. Some doors should never be opened. And some inheritances are better left unclaimed. My name is Emma, and I am the last person who will ever remember 1847 Holloway Street. For now.